if you work for the private sector and you're not lucky enough, and I do use that term, lucky enough to work for the public sector and have a cast iron pension, one of the things you can do in the private sector is have your own pension. And so what you would do is you would say, you know what, I don't have the luxury of having the government contribute to an index-linked pension like a lot of our public servants do, like Rachel Reeves does. I have to look after my own retirement. And there is a thing called an ISA, and this is called an individual savings account. That's what ISA stands for. And it's a tax wrapper. And the reason why it's called a tax wrapper is you can put an amount of money into an ISA and it can increase in value and the government won't tax you on the increase or the interest you've made on it. Likewise, you can have a stocks and shares ISA where you can invest in something and the government will allow you to make money in your stocks and shares ISA and they won't tax you on it. And this is a way to really help people in the private sector who, after all, contribute all of the money towards the economy. And so ISAs are very, very important for people who don't have pensions because it allows them to save money.
Is to reduce the limit, which is 20,000 at the moment that you can put in there in a fiscal year, down to 4,000.
Yes.
Who made this up?
Okay, so this is. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's, again, so intellectually incoherent. So apparently the reason why the Chancellor is considering lowering the annual tax-free allowance is in an effort to push more people to invest in shares.
In more risky
because she wants to promote investment in British businesses. I mean, well, look, fine, but can we just be really blunt about this? ISAs are, one of the safest ways, perhaps, if you're moving into retirement or you're older person. That's sort of a safe place to put your money to provide additional income when you most need it at the end of your working life. Frankly, some of the people who are choosing to invest in cash ISAs now, they don't have the option of investing in shares because shares can take a long time to show a dividend or return. And frankly, if you're at the end of your getting towards the end of your certainly working life, you don't really have time necessarily to sit around and wait for those dividends or be able to weather the ups and downs of shares because, as you say, they're riskier, they're not sort of guaranteed in the way that ISAs are. So once again, Reeves just seems to be, I don't know, what's a better word, picking on people who've actually been sensible and planned for their retirement and are saving themselves and have made these responsible decisions to allow them to do this. And now they're sort of volte-face being told, no, that you can't do that either. I'll be having some of that. And also, she sort of goes on about, as most politicians do, about the broadest in society bearing the heaviest burden. A sentiment which I think most people actually, in theory, agree with, right? But can we just be blunt about this? People who might have £20,000 a year to invest, and yes, that is a good amount of money. But people who have £20,000 a year to invest are not multi-millionaires.
Of course they're not.
They are not these kind of broadest shoulders. They're not,
Or they may be people who chose not to go on holiday every single year and they put their money into a savings vehicle
turning it
to look
into
after
some
themselves.
kind of class warfare of, you've got £20,000, therefore, you must be rich, you can afford, to pay a bit more. It's like, well, no, this is not, as I say, nowhere near people who are multi-millionaires. So I think this idea has been floating around for a couple of months. I sort of assume she kind of backed off doing it around springtime because it is so wildly unpopular.
Is this Rachel from accounts?
It's Rachel from accounts.
So what a lot of people tend to do is they don't have pensions. The pension companies can't be trusted anyway. And so what they would do is they would put money annually into a stocks and shares ISA or an ISA. And then over time that would grow and then the people retire and they draw down from it. And this has been used by financial advisors since the start of time. And it's something that's good. It makes people save for their own retirement and means that they're not a burden to the state when they get old. It's a good thing that people save money. They save the money and so they're not a burden to people. They can pay for their own care. They can pay for their own stuff as they get older. They're not just standing with their hands out continually. But of course, Rachel Reeves, intent on destroying the fabric of the economy that we have, is set on making changes to this. So what she's going to do, she's going to attempt to influence savers. And what's Rachel from Accounts' whiz scheme that she's got for us? Well, what she's going to do, she's going to reduce the amount of money you can put into your ISA every year to encourage people to invest in UK companies. Oh dear. She's attempting to get people to invest in the UK stock market. So think of this. You are somebody who's risk averse. What you want to do, you want to put your money into something where you know it's going to be safe, where if it makes a few quid, you're not going to have to pay tax to the government. And what Rachel Reeves is trying to tell you to do is, well, why don't you just take it out of there and invest in UK stocks? She's out of her mind. Nobody is going to invest in that because all of the growth stocks are over in America. Everybody knows this. These plans to take money from pension pots, of which is going to attempt to take 10%, and that's fine as long as you give the exchequer a quarter. I've already covered that in a previous video. Now she's going to attack the only savings mechanism that normal people have from the private sector, and this is a direct attack on the middle class. She knows what she's doing here. She's taking money from the middle class because she thinks in the short term it's going to work out. Of course, she'll be long gone by the time the ripples from this decision hit home and destroy the savers in our economy. How long do you think it's going to take for middle class people in the United Kingdom to just get sick of this? To get sick of the government with their hand in their pocket all the time, increasing public sector salaries all the time, taking more and more taxes from businesses all the time, increasing workers' rights all the time. This is all one-way traffic. There's no let-up in it. And now with this ISA change here, I see an exodus coming. The government wants a piece of every single thing. Why would you do that? Why would you give the government so much money? Why wouldn't you say, you know what? How about I sell my house and I move to Portugal and just buy a house by the beach, bigger than mine, in a beautiful place where the sun's always shining, where I can run my internet business from there and pay very little tax and enjoy a nice siesta on an afternoon. Well, it is a global marketplace after all, is it not? The government's keen on mass migration. This is another nail in the coffin for the UK middle class. And if you keep hitting them and if you keep punching them in the face, they're just going to leave. And you know what? They'd be right to leave. This woman needs to be stopped. She's a very, very dangerous individual. She's not only intent on ruining businesses, and I don't know if the people out there think I'm over-exaggerating when I'm talking about businesses, or I'm talking about the fact of the jobs market, or I'm talking about all of these issues to do with the economy, whether or not anybody actually believes what I'm telling you. You may think, oh, this is just a guy on the internet, what does he know? And I get that. I do understand and appreciate that sentiment. I do understand it. But without any doubt, this economy is going down, and it's going to take a lot of people with it. And middle class people aren't just going to stand around, and people with a few quid, they're not just going to stand around and give you all their money that they've worked hard for. They're just going to up sticks and leave us. And then we really will be in a pickle. Thanks very much for your time.